Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to the JP Broadcasting Network. It's time for GT3 action here on Monday night as we head to Tuscany in Italy, just outside of Florence, to recruitment race number 3 for the Tanso Racing Group and Clark St. James GT3 Season 8. This third out of 4 adventures over a 90-minute endurance race. You join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and a very good evening to my partner in crime, the man side, and also the man providing you all these wonderful images in fantastic sound and vision. Good evening, Mr. James Parfitt.
Good evening, dear sir. How are you? How has it all been?
All good, all good. It was nice to get a weekend away, just spectating racing for a change rather than commentating on it. So the pipes are well and truly up to firing on all cylinders as we're in time qualifying. So a little bit of a reminder of the format for those wondering. It's a 15-minute qualifying session, so the drivers will be running solo out on the track. The circuit itself, opened back in June of 1974, has been owned by Ferrari since 1988. It runs clockwise, measures just under 3.3 miles. 15 turns in all, 6 to the left, 9 to the right. The longest straight is just over about 0.7 of a mile, but a lot of undulation, a lot of gradient changes, camber changes as well. It's going to provide a bit of a tough challenge for our drivers tonight. Of course, 90-minute endurance race, 60% maximum fuel, 1 mandatory pit stop. They get 1 fast repair, and then you get the trundle down the pit lane of shame if you go 20x for your first penalty. We have got, as always, Mr. Connor Pink in race control, keeping a watchful brief on proceedings, and we will get updates live on screen for the penalties that will be issued. But Mugello, a lot of people would relate this track to MotoGP, but it does see a hell of a lot of car racing around it.
It does. That's the thing. I've driven around here in a Gen 2 supercar, and basically it was very, very challenging indeed. Right, you know, in the Gen 2s, you've got to lift off really early going down into turn number 1 to get the car rotated. And then, of course, we've got a lot of power and skinny tyres. So, you know, you can imagine what happens on that one. Your back end decides that it wants to come around and join the front. So you do have to be very, very careful. Now, in GT3s, it's a little bit more stable. They're able to do that. They've got sort of less power but wider tyres, whereas supercars have got more power and skinnier tyres. So they've got to be a little bit more mindful on that side with the supercars. But these guys, they've just got to make sure that they can get this car around this circuit. They've got to pick their braking points. They've got to make sure that everything works where it's supposed to. Now, obviously, the supercar we lift at the beginning of the curb. These guys are able to go in a little bit deeper into San Donato. Then it's pulling it to the right-hand side. Open it up just a little bit, bring it back, knock it into the left and then right for Poggia Seiko. You can take a little bit of curb on the right-hand side. Watch the sausage curbs. They are dangerous. Now, in the supercars, we would brake now just to be able to get that car rotated, but they've got to make sure they can hook it up. Again, stay away too much of the sausage curbs on the left, right, through Materassi and San Lorenzo. Then down the hill. Now, this is Casanova Savelli. Take a lot of curb on the inside. Get it just about hooked up. Take more on the exit. And now you can let it open up just a little bit. Now you're going into the fast right-hander of Arrabbiata 1 and 2. Open it up. Let it run out wide. Now hook it up. Blind apex. Can't see what's going on. Point, shoot, and hope for the best before you drop down into Scarperia. Again, another corner that you can take a lot of the inside and the exit curbing as well. Again, trying to avoid the sausage curbs. It's not always good through there. Now you're coming into the right hand on the final part of the circuit. It's nearly there. You're nearly at the end. Hook it up, get it run. Now this is full throttle with most cars. Take curbing on the left, take curbing on the right, and now you're looking on the right hand side. There's a little steward's hut just about coming up. You're going to hit the brakes just before that. Let it run in deep. Now through the left hander, keep it in tight. Now open it up, open it up, open it up. Let it run all the way wide. You can take more on the right hand side. And now you're going down the straightaway back into San Donato again. So it's a flowing circuit, Alex. They have to manage to keep the flow of the circuit. Otherwise, they're offline for one corner, especially going up through Luco and Poggio Seco. They'll be offline for Materassi and San Lorenzo. So they've got to keep that flow through that middle section.
Yes, indeed. And there you can see, well, on the YouTube chat, Michael Gray said it's going to be the full 90 minutes tonight. So we welcome Simon Nelthorpe in Pro, Kerry John Lovell in AM, Shane Cotton, Dave Collier also running in AM, and Javard Brown who'll be running in Pro. A few changes since last time. Yes, Jared Love has been promoted to Pro, so has Scott Kostrich, but we have got a grid for our penultimate recruitment race for season number 8, which will be taking you through very
After
shortly
the
as the
warm-up.
last few drivers. Yeah, so we have got warm-up. So Scott Kostrich, Tim Cullimore, Jared Love, Glenn Abelard and Wade Douglas will be promoted to Pro for this one. Harry Seven has said, sorry guys, can't make it tonight. Callum Milam says, as much as I hate Mugello, I'm looking forward to the race. Well, there's a positive and a negative in that sentence that he wrote to the Discord channel. But again, for those wondering, we still have one more recruitment race. It's going to be a 2-week break, so we've had 3 on the bounce already. We had Barcelona 2 weeks ago, we had Silverstone last week, we've got Mugello, and then in 2 weeks' time we head to Road America. So Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin will be the final battleground. There is, we are awaiting, I think, confirmation on the full track list for season 8, aren't we, JP?
We are, yes. We've got little tidbits, but we haven't got anything other than that. So I won't spoil it and give you the little tidbits because that's just what I'm like, and they're mine, and I'm keeping them tight to my chest because it's confidential and Sean will kill me. We've also changed Sean's name to Sean Clark this week at his request. Didn't like being called Shawnee Clark anymore, so it's Sean Clark.
He shouldn't have put it on the entry list then.
Well, apparently it's what actually his name is on iRacing, believe it or not. There is a story behind that, but I'll see if I can find the story that I got sent.
Is it warts and all?
I don't think it's quite that exciting.
No, but at least we can find the humorous side behind it.
Yes. So here we go. So the story is this. So iRacing wouldn't let me have Sean Clark, so it was Sean Clark 2. As I stream as a Shawnee Sim, they allow me to change it to Shawnee Clark for officials. So when he did the driver file, he forgot to change his name to Sean Clark and gave it to me as Shawnee. There we go.
Aha.
So it was nothing exciting. It just basically something
No.
iRacing and officials. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't like Shawnee, then, you know, I think we should call it him just for the sake.
Just for giggles.
Just for giggles, yeah. And until he messages me and gets a little bit moody and is like, James, stop it. Into the steward's room. I'll be like, oh, for God's sake, Sean, again.
And I'll just back you up by saying, hey, look, you made a rock for your own back. Found out the story.
James said I could do it.
James just told me to say what you see, and that's exactly what I did. Right, there we go.
But I think at the end of the day, dude, you know, this is going to be a very interesting one for some of these drivers, and they've got to make sure they can hook this up. It is a very, very tough track. It is going to be very, very interesting for some of them as well. Likes of Joe Loudon, some down in the AMs, James Fraser, you know, Dave Collier, James Moore. All of these guys are going to have a tough one. This circuit, as I said, for now, they've just got to concentrate keeping it on the track. Do not lose the flow through turns 2 all the way through to Arrabbiata 1 and 2. Even probably you can get coming out of Arrabbiata 2 and into Scarperia and Pelagio and going into Corinteo, because they're another parts of it as well. So they've probably got 3/4 of the track that they've got to make sure they concentrate and get this flow right.
I mean, we haven't got any Ferrari 296s, bearing in mind this is a track owned by Ferrari. But looking... Okay, we have got a smorgasbord of cars. Okay, so we've got the Merc, we've got the McLaren, we've got the Porsche, we've got the Lamborghini, we've got the Corvette, we've got one Acura, we've got one Ford. I think, if I'm completely honest here, the car that I would see that would have the advantage, bearing in mind that it is a very, very twisty and technical track, so handling's got to be one of the key things. The Porsche might have the edge, and look, as I say that, well, John McLuhan just goes in this warm-up session, sets a 147.6, so it is going to be about having the right car. Yes, you're going to have the grunt down the start-finish straight in the Merc, but when you get to San Donato, Lucco, Poggio Secco, Matarazzi, San Lorenzo and then Casanova Savelli, the Porsche, I think with its drivetrain layout, could be the one that really, as long as that driver, like you said, keeps the car on the black stuff, avoids the sausage curbs, there's going to be a very, very good chance that maybe a Porsche or two might be fighting the sharp end of the field.
Yeah, and Michael Gray is in the Mercedes. However, he has just put it in the wall. So, you know, we'll at the same time. But, yeah, Michael Gray switched over to the Merc as well. But there's the grid.
Okay, so it's going to be Peter Duke and Harry Hartley Price on the front row of the grid. Tim Reed and Andy White round out row 2, and Jared Love rounding out a quintet of Mercedes leading the field. Hayden Young is going to be the highest other mark, and the McLaren 720S running out the top six positions. Then we've got Mercedes versus Porsche, Tim McCullumore and John McLuhan rounding out row 4. Craig Corish and Sam Berry. Craig switching to the Porsche for this one. Sam Berry, Mr. Fresh Rubber, rounding out the top 10 in the Mercedes. Glenn Abelard and Scott Kostrich round out row 6 in the Lamborghini and the McLaren, with Simon Nelthorpe and Sean Clark rounding out row number 7. Clark, the highest qualifier in AMS, ahead of James Moore and Joseph Lopez. Mr. Zoomies back in his Corvette. And then also James Vardigans, Mark Wesley, Joseph Loudon, Callum Milam, Dave Collier, Michael Gray, Mr. Alien, that's why he's in his pink colour. So no pro, no am. And then also Sindre Johansson and James Fraser rounding out the 24 strong.
Yes, sir. Starting on the backside as well. Bruce Scarperio and Pelagio, they're going to go before they go into Corinteo and then in through BMW 1 and 2. Pace car will then peel off. It's quite a long run for the pace car, so we're going to be waiting for a bit of time for it to disappear, and then the racing will be up and running.
Indeed, so they head through Corinteo. So then it's going to be Biondetti 1 and 2, and then Bulcini, which is the final corner. Then they're going to go up a slight ascent before the pace car will peel into pit lane. So a quintet, the meritocracy of the Mercedes, ruling the roost here in time qualifying. But effectively, it is a case of seeing who's going to rule the roost in Pro, who's going to rule the roost in AM here tonight, because then we'll have a week's break and then back on the 18th of August for the final recruitment race ahead of Season 8 for Tanso Racing Group and Clark St James GT3 Championship action for Season number 8, coming soon to a YouTube screen near you. And at a slow crawl, they come out of Bulcini, cambered to the left-hand side. There you see the incline, very much like Portimao to the Algarve circuit, but it's going to be a lot of naturally aspirated V8 power as Peter Duke pulls the trigger already. And now it's going to be 3 wide on the battle for P3, P4. Red lights are on. And recruitment race number 3 here in Florence, in Tuscany, at Mugello is underway. Peter Duke gets the whole shot. Tim Reed and Jared Love wheel to wheel, side by side into San Donato for the opening tour as the Scotsmen go into battle there, wheel to wheel. Hayden Young trying to look around the outside, try and get the inside line into Luco. This could be the opportunity. Jared Love round the outside. He got through at Luco. Round the outside he goes at Poggio Secco. Oh, but he hits the barriers. The back end stepped out to the left-hand side, and the number 10 is in the barriers and now trailing on the grass.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, there's somebody else in the Porsche there. That Jean McLuhan has also gone off. Oh, watch the sausage curbs, boys. There, unfortunately for Jared Love, it did not go well. As we said, he didn't give that Mercedes time to get warm either, and he's just gone onto the curb, onto the AstroTurf, and then unfortunately straight into the barrier he goes as well. Jean McLuhan also had his own further drama a little bit further up. Now, was this tapped on his own, or was he just there and did the same mistake himself? That's the same mistake again.
Porsche doing Porsche things. I did say the car could be a bit of a dark horse, but not when mistakes like that happen. So Peter Duke leads by just under 3/10 of a second ahead of Harry Hartley Price, Season 6 champion, Season 7 pro runner-up, and he is absolutely gunning for it as they go into Buccini down the cambered left-hander, and then it's going to be up the incline, hard on the power. Harry Hartley-Price is on the run down into San Donato as we complete their very fast and furious lap 1. Price has got the run on the slipstream, the closing rate of speed as they go up another incline, over the crest of the hill, down the dip. Harry Hartley-Price ducks to the outside, trying to get the crisscross here, possibly, or carry the momentum through. He's going to dive to the inside, and Harry Hartley-Price has got through, but Peter Dupree takes the lead. Going into Luco, there's a little bit of a tap, right front to left, right rear to left front as they go through Poggio Secco. No surprise that Harry Hartley-Price was quickly on the flashers, and this is going to bring in the likes of Tim Reed, Andy White, Hayden Young, Tim Cullimore, Craig Corish, the leading Porsche in the field, a couple of spots ahead of the next best place mark, which is Lamborghini, courtesy of Glenn Ablard in 9th position. Michael Gray, well, no surprise there, started 22nd, 10 spots. So the cat amongst the GT3 pigeons has been thrown in, and it's not Michael Gray, it's what we saw happen on lap 1 when, yeah, Jared Love got it all a bit wrong, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling Hayden is carrying a black flag here for jumping the start. Hence, he's got that little black box next to him. Now, I am going to just confirm that with the steward, but I believe he may have a black flag for overtaking before the start line. Now, don't quote me on that. I will find out if he peels in at the end of this lap. He will only have three laps to do it. James Fraser has lost himself and gone back to pit lane, and now, unfortunately for James, is out. There we go. So he has got a black flag for jumping the start as Hayden Young. So he's a bit of a naughty boy, and this is what happened to Mr. Fraser. Mind you, his rear end's already bashed up, and that's from an earlier incident he had as well. So unfortunately, he lost it completely there, but this was the first one that he lost. Oh no, that's a... Oh, dude, that's wrong. Can't overtake what you can't see. And I think that may have been Joe Loudon. It was Joe Loudon who was blinking all over the place, and unfortunately they made contact. So car number 5, which was Hayden Young, got the black flag for being naughty.
Oh, so slap on the wrist then. Okay, right, fair enough. That just goes to show that if you jump the start, you are not the Messiah, you are a very, very naughty boy. And it happens, like people just, you know, they think, oh yeah, I'm in the right place, right time. They go to accelerate, and then all of a sudden, black flag, whoops.
Yeah, and who can name the film where that just come from? That sentence come out of a film. Don't tell anyone yet.
Oh, no, all I'm going to say is, you just got to, if you know, you know. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But, yeah, Jean McLuhan, despite the dramas on the opening lap for him, has just put in the fastest lap of the race of 1:47.881. He's dropped to 13th behind James Moore, our Season 7 AM champion, who has decided to, well, no sign of his upshifty sports teammate this week, Sergio Cabral. Who hasn't really found the... I don't think he's feeling the love is Sergio with the Corvette, whereas James seems to have a better time of it with that vehicle.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. The Corvette, again, is a very, very tricky car to get to grips with. And, you know, there's only so many people that can handle it. James, fortunate enough for him, is one of them that has got the grips to it. You know, you've got to give it a couple of laps before it comes in. Otherwise, the back end decides that, hello, I'm here, I'm at the front, come say hello, and he will want to do that. So you have got be a little bit more mindful of it. But at the moment, Peter Duke is under attack from the Clark St. James Motorsport boys, and he has no help from any of the DTs.
Yeah, indeed. They do say that there is always strength in numbers, but then when there's a championship, it's a battle for teammates go out the window. It doesn't matter. Especially when we've seen it before, haven't we? Over the multiple series over the last few years that we've covered together, that, yeah, teammates will work together. They'll try and be as close to one another when it comes to points at the end of the season, but then in the final round, all the gloves are off, and it's like a bare knuckle fist fight. You know, one punch, that's it, job done, game over. But Peter Duke carrying a little bit too carried it a little bit too wide into Corintaio. Nearly gave an opportunity for Harry Hartley-Price to dive up the inside as they go through beyond it at 1 and 2. Now into the final corner, the last left-hander out of 6 at this 15-turn circuit through Bulgini. So cam into the left-hand side, and you can see that the kitty litter is already sprinkled onto the circuit. So that will dirty up the tyres a little bit. But Peter Duke already, after 4 laps, continues to lead. Harry Hartley-Price on his case, followed by teammates Tim Reed and Andy White. Tim Cullimore rounds out the top 5, and he is about 1.7 seconds behind. And this is Jean McLuhan versus James Moore, Pro versus Am. Moore goes into the slipstream of the Porsche and dives to the outside on the run down the dip into San Donato. And what is Moore going to try here? He's going to swing it high to the outside. Now, is that going to give him enough speed to carry through into Luco? Not quite, but a good effort nevertheless. I mean, I think, you know, he was bump drafting Jean McLuhan quite significantly there, going down the start-finish straight. But it was when he decided, I think he might have ducked out a little bit early, possibly, to go to the outside at San Donato, but you still put yourself on the back foot going to the outside of San Donato. You really want to be as close as you can and try and look to the inside. Meantime, Glenn Ablard and Michael Gray are playing musical chairs at the moment for 8th position. But, yeah, look, Duke and White have started to...
Back out a little bit.
Yeah, they have. 1.2 seconds pretty much between Price and White, as here goes Michael Gray up the inside of the Lamborghini of Glenn Ablard.
It's very, do you know what? This is very Mercedes dominated this week.
It has been pretty much all 3 weeks so far, hasn't it?
Merck's definitely been put out there and had been given the car of choice across these guys, as Michael Gray's now in the Merc as well, chasing down Sam Berry. The leaders have opened up a 1.3 second gap back to Andy White and Tim Reed. They can't decide which way round they want to be, as they've swapped a couple of times here. So these guys are still trying to keep it up and work out which way round they're going to do it. But while they're doing it, these two are scarpering off at the front.
Yeah, it's kind of like that Chuckle Brothers to me to you situation we keep on talking about every week, isn't it? Like, we don't know whether it's going to be, you know, whether Hartley-Price is going to dive to the inside of Duke, or is Duke going to make that car as wide, as wide, if not wider, than an 18-wheeler articulated lorry as they go down into Casanova Cervelli, down the hill. And this is where you're really carrying a lot of speed through the corner. Sam Berry, Mr. Fresh Rubber, trying to close in on Glenn Ablard. They've just swapped places, so Glenn in the Lamborghini currently holding on to 8th place overall. But at the minute, yeah, Duke and Price seem to have got the setup nailed on these cars, whereas, as you said, White and Reed, yeah, it's sort of, they can't make their mind up who's going to be, you know, who's faster than who's going to be the one that's going to catch Harry up and give Peter a bit more of a fright. That's the difficult thing when you've got three drivers from the same crew. Not all the setups are going to be the same, folks. You know, these are open setups for these drivers. So they've got to make the decision on how the car is going to handle around the circuit the best for them.
Yeah, and at the moment they've kind of got to try and sort out which way round they're going to do this. At the moment they've put Andy White into the front of the bin, and that's fine. That, you know, should allow them to close up a little bit. You've got Michael Gray closing on to the back of Craig Corish. I think this battle's going to loom for about another corner. However, Corish has literally given him the inside line, which is never going to be good, going down into San Donato, and I think Gray is going to make short work of this scenario. He is. He's going to be hard on the brakes, hook it up on the apex, round he goes, and he gets that position away from Corish. Now, you see here, Hartley-Price and Duke, they've closed back up together. And I say closed back up, they were about half a second apart. Now they're back down below half a second to 2.5, 1.5 tenths here. And you can see Hartley-Price has got Materazzi and San Lorenzo quite a little bit more wrapped up, where Peter Duke seems to have Casanova Savelli a little bit more hooked up than Harry Hartley-Price does. So, you know, he's losing time in one place, gaining it in another, which is always good. But Peter Duke up front, so he's got to be able to now to be able to keep that going for the next hour and 18 minutes. As Alex has forgotten to press the button.
No, my cable just went loose.
Oh.
On that one. Yeah, my cable just went loose. I was like, eh? Okay, right. What I was just going to say is the last two recruitment races we've had, JP, we have seen a two-stop strategy as Hartley-Price to the inside. This is through Buccini. Oh, and Peter Duke sideways. And that has allowed Andy White to mug the pair of them round the outside. Harry Hartley-Price had no other alternative but to hold back. There might have been either a little bit of touchy-feely or a little bit of Mr. Netcode. And I think, well, Harry Hartley-Price did exactly the right call there, but that has allowed White and Reed to get through. So Duke drops down to third, Price down to fourth, and here is the rapidly advancing Tim Cullimore in that wonderful Castrol livery Mercedes.
Yeah, and also behind that is Mr. Michael Gray. He's not too far back either. Mark Wesley has sent himself back into pit lane. Oh, he's already loose. Steady there, Mark. Don't do that, mate, in that McLaren.
Oh, he's hit the sausage. Oh, he hit the sausage curbs. That was a Captain Savelli, I think. Yeah. That one.
Love the livery, though, mind you. Full British Bulldog spirit.
I was just about to say. That he's. Yeah. So incident between car 177 and car number 98 noted. So means that Connor Pink is keeping an eye on. Well, he's keeping a watching brief on proceedings here. So we're going to have a look at the replay here. So Price ducks to the... Yeah, there is... Yeah, oh, it's the slightest... It was like a little kiss to the left rear of Peter Duke. And, yeah, Harry did the right thing there. Just decided, you know what? I'm not going to overtake him. I'm not going to take advantage of that situation. And then White just went, hello, remember me? Round the outside, doing the old M&M. And now we've got an inter-Porsche battle between Jean McLuhan and Simon Nelthorpe, who's got a very manga-orientated theme on his 112 Porsche. He's going to try and go round the outside at all places, the final corner, Buccini, and decides to hold back a little bit, but you can see McLuhan just going to the left-hand side of the straight just to break the toe a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure Nelthorpe isn't tucking him behind him, to be honest. He could have had a long old strafe there to pulling him in rather than making late lunges like that. He didn't really catch the draft at the beginning of the straight, so that's a little bit confusing for me. I'm not entirely sure why he didn't pick it up early, and then he would have been a little bit closer for his lunge down into turn one. So sure, Simon's got his reasons why he didn't. Hayden Young starting to try and come back through the field after his naughty boy black flag for overtaking before the line. He's now in 19th place, and unfortunately he's got a very blinky Joe Loudon in front of him, which has already caused one trouble for our very own Mr. James Fraser, who couldn't see him, and they ended up hitting each other.
Youch, yeah. Blinky, no good here at the moment, I'm afraid. But, yeah, it just goes to show, I mean, where's our good friend Mr. Zoomies? Where's he hiding at the moment?
He is down below this one. There he is there, and that is due to the fact he had some drama, went off track and lost about 3 positions, I believe. But don't think this is his only time. Yeah, there you go, he goes round, goes through. Poor old Joseph Lopez lost some positions there, so he's all the way down in 20th at the moment. Callum Ilam is having a race to forget currently. He's been on and off track a few times. But Joe Loudon there with Hayden Young. Hayden does go through. Jobs are good, and because Joe and his blinky internet doesn't really want to be getting anybody involved in that one. But then again, Joe's got to be careful. He don't just kick him straight back to pit lane either. James Moore, however, a little bit further up leading the AMs, has got James Vardigans, who's 3.6 seconds back, and Vardigans has got his own queue of cars from Sean Clark, Jared Love, and Sindra Johansson. So Vardigans is also under a little bit of pressure here, especially one of them being a pro, as Simon has also just had a crash.
Oh dear. Yeah, so Mark Wesley, James Frazier, and Dave Collier all have retired, or big old plume of smoke. So someone must have had a bit of a lockup going either into San Donato or into Luco just a moment ago. Yeah, Vardigan's having a better time out this time, as he has had in the previous 2 races. Barcelona was a race to forget, and then Silverstone, I think, got progressively worse for the man in the 06 Corvette. But yeah, he's keeping it nice and well and truly tracked around here at Mugello. And yeah, that was a nice little approach there from the Corvette through into Casanova Cervelli, and then into the double right here at Arrabbiata 1 and 2, where you get this nice sort of compression. And it's up the hill again, up on the power, over the crest. Now through into the next right, to Scapoli, into Pelagio, where another dip down the circuit, through into Correntoio coming up very shortly. But you can just see how, I think James has been able to, the 2 Jameses, James Moore and James Vardigans, both from the same team at Upshift Esports. I think they've both been working together to get the car on a good compromise setup that the pair of them can work really, really well with. And that's why we're seeing James Vardigans where he is at the moment, as Michael Gray is having a little bit of a drama in his own right. We've seen Jared Love with no front bumper, so he'll obviously get that replaced once things happen for the next set of pit stops, whereas Peter Duke is now putting the boot on the other foot, so to speak, putting Harry Hartley-Price under pressure, and the fog lights are ablaze on the number 118 Mercedes of Full Tilt Motorsports. Michael Gray, who is here for the full race this time, unlike the previous ones where he just did the first 60 minutes and then ducked out.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight, this one. There's been some interesting swap overs. Duke and Price have swapped positions twice, and now in favour of Price in front of him. Sam Berry and Craig Corish have swapped, but that's left Corish there. No further action involving 98 and 177. I'm glad about that. There was really no need for any further action on that one, especially as Hartley Price checked up and let him carry on in that place anyway. Michael Gray is now going to have a little bit of a challenging time currently, because he's got the very fast Peter Duke in front of him. And then Duke is going to basically be able to either use Gray to let him go to get to Hartley Price, or fight Michael Gray and just hope that Hartley Price doesn't do a runner up the road.
Yes, indeed, as we ride on board with the alien himself, getting ever closer to the back end of DC Motorsports. Peter Duke in the run for P4. We're coming up to 20 minutes of an hour and 30 completed here in recruitment race number 3. If you are on iRacing, you love your GT3s, well, check out the links in the description. Or you can also head to tansoracinggroup.co.uk for further information and how to sign up for the final recruitment race, which will be at Road America in 2 weeks' time. Michael Gray got very much a nose ahead at San Donato, but Peter Duke able to carry the traction through. A little bit of a mistake there from the man from DC Motorsport in the number 98. He's giving Michael Gray a bit of room. So they're going to go into Materazzi and then San Lorenzo, and Gray did not need a second invitation. He got through rather quickly, expedited that like he normally does, like a surgeon's knife slicing its way through. And there is Tim Cullimore, who's also getting closing in. I think there was an incident between I think it was car 10 and another car that has been noted by our live stewarding panel, courtesy of Connor Pink. So there's another incident that has been noted.
Yeah. But sorry, I'm trying to find it to bring it back up, but it's just not behaving itself at the moment. You are right. So there was some little bit of drama going on with them guys. Tim Cullimore, however, is having a nice little battle, but Corish and Berry swapped places again. Yeah, Joseph Lopez looks like he's had more drama. Sean Clark's been off the side of the circuit as well. And it was Jared Love into the back of Sean Clark, apparently.
Okay, so... Oh dear, so car 10 and, yeah, car 68. Oh.
Wow.
Ouchies for Sean.
Yeah, that would definitely do it. Was there a full punt there? So he's on the brakes into... Oh, he did. Drove him straight in the wall. Ran him over almost, NASCAR style.
Well, the thing is, he also had Hayden Young right up his trumpet as well, didn't he?
Mm.
So whether he's had to make a decision, and he's probably been caught out. I think when you're sandwiched in between two cars, between a rock and a hard place, you've got to make the decision on whether you're going to make the move or not. And I think it was the only conclusion that Jared Love could come to, which was, I've got to go for it. And unfortunately, Mr. Clark was on the receiving end of a punterino from the rear, and then into the barriers on the right-hand side he went.
Yeah, punt to pass there, unfortunately, for Jared Love this time. I think there might be some form of drama. Callum Milam has just literally killed himself in a driving sense, obviously. He's had more dramas than I can imagine here tonight. Not why he is going so slowly, but whatever he's done, he jumps back into pit lane. Does Callum Milam, maybe called it a night. Sindri Johansson has also had a little bit of drama in that Mustang. That's put him all the way down in 20th place. Oh, that'd be why.
Oh, sausage curbs. He took a big bite out of them. Two wheels in the air, right-hand side Skyborn, and then that was all she wrote for the Norwegian. Fresh rubber, Mr. Sam Berry, trying to get through on the 7th place Porsche, Craig Gorish in the 113. They've got Glenn Abelard, so it's Porsche versus Mercedes versus Lamborghini, or if you want to know their respective locations in terms of their motorsport divisions, you've got Weissach, Falterbach and Sant'Agata Bolognese. Sounds like an Italian dish when you mention Bolognese at the end of the location where Lamborghini's actual headquarters are globally. But of course, a home track for the manufacturer, in a sense, being that it's in Italy. But yeah, Glenn doing, we saw Glenn in season 7 running in the Audi R8, and of course the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo has the same drivetrain, but aerodynamics in terms of the way that the car looks. I think if someone was to say to me, well, if you wanted to base a car on aggressive looks, which car would you go for between the Audi and the Lambo? I would say Lambo for aggressive looks every single day of the week. It's angular, it's aggressive, and it looks like you do not want to get on the wrong side of it. In the meantime, Jared Love and Sindri Johansson have both on lap number 13 come into the pits. Jared Love was on his marks, not including transfer time in the pit lane. 18.45 seconds, 18.5 for Sindri Johansson. So again, with these 90-minute races here, James, we're seeing a common trend. It's going to be pretty much 2 pit stops because everyone is going to drive 10/10s.
Yeah, it is. I think it's been that for most of the recruitment races, hasn't it? Let's be real. Tim Reed has just... Well, Hartley Price has just gone past him. Whether or not that was an active overtake or there was a little bit of team orders, please remove yourself from the equation. I am quicker, as Hartley Price there carries it through. Michael Gray in pit lane drops down the order. Not overly worried about that because people in front of him have got a pit as well. And for Hartley Price, the real target is kind of coming out in front of Hayden Young, but Hayden Young might have to make another... Well, he's going to have to go 2 stops anyway with his drive-through that he caught a little bit earlier on. Callum Milam's now out. Sindri Johansson is just about to be lapped already, and we're only got 25 minutes in, so that hasn't taken long whatsoever. But Glenn Abelard, Sam Berry and Craig Corish, 10-second time penalty for cause of the collision resulting in heavy contact. Jared Love.
Oh. Well, that's the first time penalty that he'll have to probably serve that at his pit stop, wouldn't he?
Well, it depends if it's post-race or during the race. I think most of the penalties that are given out is post-race. So basically, it means it will get the 10 seconds at the end and he'll drop down the order. But depends on what the situation is and what way Connor is going to do that. I do like the black and gold Mustang livery. Very nicely done. I agree with you, Marco, as well. Just unfortunately, it has been into the barrier, which is why it's so far down the order at the moment. Michael Gray's gone into pit lane. He's been given a speeding penalty. That is why he's had a 1 minute 27 pit lane time, because he is 40 seconds slower than anybody else, which means sped going in pit lane, and he had to serve a penalty. So he's now giving himself another challenging job. He's down in 18th.
Right. Okay. Answers in chat, please. Where do we think Michael Gray will end up at the end of this race? Because that was that's something that we haven't heard of about Michael Gray. Not had that where he's caused himself a little bit of a faux pas, so to speak, a 40-second penalty for speeding in pit lane. But a good battle here for the well, because it's a top 12 for the pros. Hayden Young getting through at Buccine on Simon Nelthorpe for 11th position, and the 4-litre twin-turbo V8 mid-engined rear-wheel drive McLaren starts to pull a little bit of a gap over the Porsche. The naturally aspirated 4-litre flat-six boxer engine, rear-engined, rear-wheel drive. Joe Loudon in the Mercedes, third in the AMS, goes into pit lane just before the 28-minute mark. So some battles here or there, and that is going to drop Joel Loudon towards the end of the field. Looks like Mr. Love has decided to call it time on his race. So is Callum Milam. So we are down to 19 runners and riders. You can hear the varying different engine notes of the McLaren versus the Porsche. The McLaren a bit more high-pitched in its noise, whereas the Porsche has that distinctive flat-six boxer engine rumble.
Yeah, the Porsche's got this whistle in sixth gear, and it is blinking annoying. I can't sit in it. It just absolutely drives me bonkers, because it whistles in my ear, and it makes me sound like my granddad with my hearing aid turned up too loud. It's absolutely nuts.
What?
Yeah, and this blinking thing's going in his ear, and I wonder he can't hear anything. Listen, when he goes to sixth gear, it's just nuts.
They do rev to the rev limit on the Porsche GT3Rs are about 8,600 RPM, so they do have that inbred sort of boxer initiated whistle. It's the same with, like, say, cars that do also have boxer engines. Say, for example, the Toyota GR86 and the Subaru BRZ. They both, and even the Subaru Impreza WTIs, they were boxer engine, 4 cylinders. But you know, Porsche decided, well, let's just stick a flat six in there and see what happens. But yeah, I think I've been told by one of my friends when I go to Misano towards the end of in October this year. He said, "Right, I'm going to get a passenger seat bolted in my race car, and you're coming for a ride." And I'm like thinking, okay, I wonder how much of that whistle I'm going to hear when my ears are being deafened around that circuit.
It's just, I don't know, I can't cope with it. I'd rather watch, I'd rather listen to the Merc, who's got a bit more behind it, and it sounds awesome. It really sounds like he's got something stuck in his throat and it's trying to kick it out. It's listen, so much better. Oh.
It's just like a fighter jet waiting to take off.
Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And then it's so much better. We heard the whistle of the Porsche last time round. Now let's just see what the Mercedes does at full gear here. Bring up the speed and show you what he's doing under draft, of course. It's just constant. But no whistle, just roughs his way.
And he's going to get the inside line here as well, if he's lucky. But that's going to put him to the outside of Luco very shortly, unless he can carry the speed through. 90 miles an hour, third gear. Chorus has still got the Steelies to keep that Porsche as wide as humanly possible. Bounces over the sausage curves through Poggio Secco, and this is going to allow Glenn Abelard and also the forever closing Jean McClure. Just had a a note from Callum Milam. He said, my pedals disconnected on the starting grid as we went to set off. Then again, midway around a lap just a moment ago. The wire to the pedals is okay, but the connector that plugs into the pedals seems to be awful, as it will disconnect any time I use the slightest bit of force on them. That's a real shame for Callum, especially when you've got a pair of pedals that aren't exactly functioning as they really should be. That's a bit of a shame for Callum. But you can see now that Craig Corish is using more than just the tarmac. He's also using a little bit of the kitty litter as well and bringing that up onto the circuit to just try and push the limit of adhesion. We are at the 58-minute mark remaining on the counter, and this battle for P6 is going to be more than likely a 4-horse race as Corish leads from Berry. Ablar not too far behind, about half a second away from the battle as they come out of the final corner at number 15 of Buccini. Corish runs a little bit wide. Berry in the slipstream. He's right up the flat 6 boxer engine of the Porsche in front. Will he dive to the outside as we go across the stripe? Yes, he does, but does it gradually. That's a great bit of tactical work by Sam Berry. Can he get the run around the outside at San Donato? No. He backs out of it, tries to get the crisscross, but again, like he did last time, he tries to put himself on the good run into Luco. Corish able to anticipate it.
Yeah, if you're going to run through San Donato, you've got to be prepared to pick them up and stick them in your pocket, because you've got to go in deep all the way round, and that's the thing. If you don't, you could be in trouble, and it showed that for Sam Berry. He didn't just quite have the berries almost to go and send it round the outside, because it's one of them where you've got to go in deep, get it stopped and rotated, and to be able to get back on the power again. And unfortunately, Berry didn't do that. Mark's in YouTube chat giving poor old Mike a little bit of grief, he said there as well. He said, knowing Mike like I do, he'll leave a podium or mess up right at the end.
Okay, right. Well, the proof may be in the pudding, but we'll have to wait that out.
It's a bit harsh.
Yeah, we'll have to wait that out. Yeah, it is a bit harsh, but we know what Michael Gray is like, as these drivers having to get past James Vardigans, who's tumbled to the last actual car running out on circuit. So we started with 24 runners, as Harry Hartley-Price, Andy White coming to pit lane, gives the lead to Tim Reed, the Scotsman, in the number 155 Clarkson James Motorsport Mercedes-Benz. Tim Cullimore and Peter Duke now will take third and second respectively.
He tried.
He nearly ducked into the pit lane, and Sam very quickly on the flash was saying, hey, steady on, sunshine, don't need that kind of jocularity here on the track.
Yeah, he gave him a little dummy.
And Sam Berry did not like that one bit.
No.
He did not like that one iota. He was like, oi, stop it.
Yeah.
You know. But the thing is, Craig, the thing is, coming out of Buccini, it's a short run to that pit lane entrance. So that was a nice little bit of tactics there from Craig Corish to say to Sam Berry, right, let's see if I can pull the wool over your eyes. Well, he did.
Yeah, he tried that. He did. Corish gave it a good old go. Corish now, that is Mr. Joe Loudon, who's going to go a lap down here. Sam Berry looking at it as well. Hartley Price and White come out of pit lane together. Loudon's gone very, 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 very wide to allow them through. So fair play to you, mate, but I don't think you need to go that wide. Mr. Moore is in pit lane at the moment. This is the Pro and Am fight. At the moment, Lopez is leading the Ams with Sean Clark and Michael Gray, who is sitting in his own special class because he's a special individual, especially quick. Why these guys are carried on having their own little fight here as well. So I do wonder whether or not Love's incident was in response to the penalty got.
Maybe, but we don't know the whole story because we've seen no comments by Jared. He might have just thought, well, you know what, I'm gonna forget this race, and you know, sometimes people do make decisions off their own back. As Tim Reed, Peter Duke, Tim Cullimore, Craig Corish, Sam Berry, they are all in pit lane. Glenn Ablard in the Lamborghini has carried on. Incident between car 129 and 181 has been noted. So that would have been Joel Loudon And 129, Sam Berry. Ah, okay, right. Now, was there something that we didn't see or catch? But in the meantime, it's the first round of pit stops are happening. We are seeing drivers. Tim Reed, 25.4 seconds. Peter Duke, 25.5. Tim Cullimore, 26.5 seconds. That's on their pit box. 25.98 for Craig Corish. Tim Cullimore, Sam Berry, Mr. Fresh Rubber, 26.05. So it is going to be a case of the fact that we have not seen we have seen one pit stop, but that was a fast repair for Hayden. So he's circled round to P2 at the moment. Glenn Abelard at the moment is leading, but we are about to get towards the end of lap number 21 as John McLuhan battling away with Peter Duke. Now this is for position, and McLuhan does the switch around here. Oh, hip check for Peter Duke, but McLuhan got through.
Yeah, he did. Great run from McLuhan there, and Duke after the pit stop just doesn't quite seem to be the same as such. And after that pit stop, and can't really keep the pace of the Porsche. So McLuhan got through and motors off down the road. Varney, a few more people in the pit. Joseph Lopez, Sean Clark. So that gives the lead in the arms back to James Moore. Ablard's now in pit lane. That's going to put Hayden Young out. Hayden might be able to go another couple of laps out in front here because everybody else has been able to go 20. He's stopped on lap 2 by the looks of it. So I'll, well, there you go. That's about as long as he's going to be able to go then. So that should respectively free up Tim Reed, take the lead again.
Yeah. So it is going to be the case of how the drivers strategize over the course of the next 51.5 minutes here at the Mugello circuit, based at Scuderia e San Piero, just in the outskirts of Florence, Tuscany. So Tim Reed leading the way. Harry Hartley-Price, his teammate from Clarkson James Motorsport, right on his case. You can see the different colours they use for the... And I like this attention to detail. On the wing mirrors, on the grille surround, on the rear wing end plates, and on the rear diffuser, you can see that Harry Hartley-Price in the green accents, Tim Reed in the red, and Hartley-Price has got a real good run. Is he going to launch it up the inside into Casanova? Yes, he gets through, but who's going to get the inside line for well, the first part at Casanova Savelli, and it was just a dive and a half there from Harry Hartley-Price, and Tim Reed pretty much powerless to stop it from happening, as we see Andy White closing in. So it's going to be the 3-horse race between the 3 buddies from Clarkson James Motorsport in the Mercs, battling it away.
Yeah, they're going to have a right little battle now. Are they going to, though, actually fight? Or...
Fight.
Yeah, or are they going to play follow my leader for the next 50 minutes? We really don't want that.
I don't want... No, I don't... No, the thing is that I don't want to see... Yes, there are strength in numbers. However, let them race. Just let them race. And they go, well, it's just a recruitment race. Yeah, there's no points on offer. Just have... If it was me, and they go, yeah, we don't want anyone racing each other, go, well, what's the point of me being in this then? And now you're going to see, Tim Reed's got this closing speed coming his way. He's not going to be close enough, I think, to possibly try a move here on Hartley-Price as they go down into San Donato. So he is going to try and carry the speed through the corner, but it depends on his crossover point, which is about 2/3 of the way through the apex at San Donato. Now through into Luco, then they've got the short run up to Materazzi and Borgo San Lorenzo, coming up very shortly before Casanova Savelli. So it is a case that one driver will be quicker in some sections, one driver will be quicker in other sections. So the jury is still out, folks. If you are watching along, thank you so much for joining us here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please give us a like, share and subscribe. We are over 3.1 thousand followers at the moment, as incident between car 199 and 177, Peter Duke and John McLuhan noted by race control. So yeah, get liking, get sharing, get subscribing, and if you do see our social media links in the description down below, please do the right thing. We'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're motoring on at the moment, which is nice. Quite happy with the progress as these three mercs are having a nice little go at each other. Well, they're not really doing a lot, unfortunately. They're playing very follow my leader. Tanberry, Glenn Ablard, but there's also a nice little battle down in Ams here. Bardigans and Loudon been fighting out and been backwards and forwards. So maybe we'll give these guys a little bit of airtime for a little bit here to see if anything exciting is going to happen, or whether or not Loudon's internet's going to keep him in the race, of course.
It'd be like the hokey cokey, the internet hokey cokey for James Loudon, for Joel Loudon. You put your left foot in, your left foot out, in, out, in, out. Your ping goes out a shot. You know, it's just one of those things. And we've had it before.
Burying Ablard again.
Oh dearie me. Here we go. It's like Mansell and Senna in '91 all over again for the briefest of moments. And Sam Berry right up the rear of the 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 Lamborghini of Glenn Ablard. Into San Donato they go. And, well, that was pretty much textbook.
Straightforward in the end.
Yeah, it was really straightforward. I think because Berry had already committed to the inside line, if Ablard tried to cut his nose off going into San Donato, then there would have been one hell of a whoopsie of an accident, and then probably both of them would have been ending up in pit lane.
Yeah, I know. Warning given to car number 181, but no further action taken. Who is 181?
Joel Loudon.
Oh, that could be Tinternet based. Could be internet based for Joe. Ooh, hold on. Where's Ablard just gone? Oh, he's still back in again. There he is. Okay, well, that's getting exciting. Joseph Lopez is now joined in with the Vardigans and Loudon battle. So we're going to see these guys have a little bit of a freeway. Hopefully have a nice little scrap a little bit further down.
Yeah, so it's two Corvettes and a Merc battling away over what will be 4th position in the AM category. And good to see Joel back. Good to see Joseph back in the Zoomies livery. They're on their way down into Materazzi and San Lorenzo. Again, just more to the point of how quickly. And then it's Casanova Savelli. Seems like Lopez is looking a bit more comfortable in the Corvette than Vardigans. Oh, and as I say that, what on earth happened there? Well,
very bizarre.
How bizarre, how bizarre. So down the hill into Casanova Savelli, and he's
run wide, big old snap.
Yeah, it was the left rear that caused the sudden snap to the right and then put him through the kitty litter, so he's dragged more gravel onto the circuit. That's one of the things about these old school tracks, especially like Mugello. There's a lot more gravel runoff than you would see tarmac runoff, and plenty of grass nearby the barriers.
Yeah, it does make it a little bit easier, especially for these guys now as well, because obviously, you know, the gravel slows them down, and the depth that's been added and stuff like that. They're able to sort of get the car back on track. You know, and before the depth was added, well, it really didn't make a lot of difference to you hitting it or not. As Loudon and Vardigan side by side at the moment as well, and you've got to be a little bit careful, Vardigans. If you're going to do it around the outside or cut back underneath him. Unfortunately, he isn't going to be able to do that. Loudon went wide under blue flag. Sam Berry did a little bump, nothing major, no need for penalty, apparently. That was what that no further action was.
Okay. All right, that will gives a good amount of classification on that front, to be honest with you. But yeah, we're probably, what are we now? 44 minutes remaining, so I'd probably say maybe in the next 10 minutes or so we'll see the next raft of pit stops happening.
I agree. But the difference is in that 10 minutes or so, are we going to see the people up front go and actually do anything?
That is the big $65,000 Euro question that needs to be answered right about now. But Vardigans gets through on Loudon. Oh, and Joseph has picked up the pace, found him a little bit of afterburners in the back of that Corvette, and he's caught up with them because they've been battling away in the meantime. So Zumi's back on a charge.
Yeah, he is. He's caught up to the back, which is nice. Vardigan's got that job done. Wasn't the most cleanest of overtake. He didn't quite get the car stopped going into the corner, but he did manage to get it finished off. Joe Loudon's now got Joseph Lopez. Lopez taking that inside line. Loudon trying to run it around the outside. I think Lopez might come out of this probably in front, and now they're going to go full drag racing down towards the turn number 1 here, and it'd be interesting to see who comes out on top. Whether or not it's going to be Loudon, whether or not it's going to be Lopez. Loudon on the left, Lopez on the right, and at this moment in time, Lopez sends it in deep. He needs the inside for the next left-hander. He's side by side. Lopez gets that Corvette rotated. Does he get it done? Oh, Loudon's doing that again. Cannot keep blinking like that at moments. Gonna be dangerous. And Joseph Lopez does manage to go through on a car that was blinking. We've also got Michael Gray now battling away with Sam Berry. These are 2x2 down into turn number 1. Gray gets the job done. Michael Berry in behind, Sam Berry in behind him, and nowhere for Sam to go other than sitting in behind here Michael once more here. So Gray now recovered back up to 7th place after giving himself what could only be deemed a speeding penalty in pit lane in that first pit stop, and it dropped him all the way down the order. Tim Reed, Harry Hartley-Price, Andy White, let us know if you think these guys from Clark St James Motorsport are going to fight at all here, or whether or not they're just going to play follow my leader straight to the end of the race. That would be very, very boring for us if these three did that. Really, I think we need to have those guys scrapping it out and having a good old little ding-dong rather than just sitting in behind each other. However, Berry is there as well. Warning given to car 199 for contact with car number 177. So that's Jean McLaren and Peter Duke. Apparently have had some nice, have had a little bit of a ding-dong there as well. So we'll try and find out where that took place. See what lap that was on. I'm not entirely sure on that one. Josh, if Reed doesn't fight for P1, he just doesn't have that dog in him. Yeah, but the thing is, this is it, Josh, right? And this is the thing I don't quite understand. If you are in the team, and I get they're in the team, but it is just an open recruitment race. Have a little bit of ding-dong. You know, go out there, get your fisticuffs out, chuck the missus in the back, get her chucking the utensils out the window, the builder building a wall. I don't care what they do, just do something. Rather than what they have done, which is for the last, I don't know, since pit stop, so last 8, 9, 10 laps, if not more, since Michael Gray went into the pit lane, to be honest. They've just very much played follow my leader, and it doesn't make it very interesting, you know what I mean? Just like taking your nan on a Sunday drive around Mugello. It's just not very fun at all, is it, Alex, really?
No, you don't want Morgan Freeman driving and Jessica Tandy stuck in the back of the car and you're doing 20 miles an hour. Whereas these drivers are racing at 150, 160 miles an hour. So, you know, yeah, the follow my leader concept, yeah, okay, it's putting on a bit of a showcase for the team. Yeah, come and join our team. No, the recruitment races are meant to showcase battling and strategy. And that is one of the big things. We want to see fights. We want to see on-track action. We don't want I think the term that I'm looking for is the word, we don't want a race that ends up being a little bit processional.
I think you can safely use the terminology of boring, because that's really the sort of the last thing.
As you said that word, I nearly started yawning as well. I was like, come on, someone just do something, damn it.
Yeah, I think the thing is, with these amounts of lengths of races, they're always tough to keep action up. This is why Jean McLaren got a little bit of a naughty boy warning on Peter Duke.
That was for earlier. That was for the hip check.
Yeah. I don't really see a lot wrong with that, to be fair.
No, I don't think there was. If I'm honest, I don't think there was anything wrong with that move.
No.
Jean saw the gap, went for it, and was entitled to do so because Peter had actually. I think Peter could have closed that off a little bit better. Meantime, it's Lopez versus Vardigans in the 2 Corvettes. Oh, Joseph, where have you pinged to?
Oh, hello.
Oh, yeah.
There he goes, back again.
Through Casanova Savelli. Ping's going in, ping's going back out.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of that at the moment, to be blatantly honest. Joe Loudon, I know, is having his own little trouble. I've had a little bit of a stutter every now and then, but nothing too major that's caused me too much of an issue, so I'm quite happy about that. But, you know, I think it's just sometimes the way the old wonderful world of the internet does go and do its thing, and that's the thing for these guys here. It's always difficult when you've got people from, you know, Scotland, England, Norway, Canada, all over the place, America for Jean McLuhan. Things don't always work out and come together, right?
Yeah, it's yeah, especially if you've got somewhere where they just have that hamster dial-up, you know, which was a running joke between me and one of my friends. We'd always try and record something, and then halfway through his internet would go down and go. You'd come back and go, got the hamster running again at high speed, have you? You go,
Yeah,
like, shut up.
He's probably chucked it some lettuce.
Chucked it, and a couple of raisins just to keep its energy levels up.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Gave it some little pebbles to eat and probably a can of Red Bull in his water bottle. I don't know. Oh, Vardigans, that ain't a way to take turn 1 there, mate. You want to get that stopped a little bit more. We're at this Formula 1 stage again, aren't we? Where it's like, I've eaten me Sunday dinner, I'm going to go and have a sleep on the sofa, and then I might come back with about 10 minutes to go, because they're very processional, and nobody's really close to anybody at this moment in time. They're all gaps. You can see that on the left-hand side. Hayden Young's gap just dipped below a second, so Young's on a little bit of a charge, but other than that, it's been quite...
I think it's when we get to the second round of pit stops that's when the, you know, as you said, we get this sort of like lull in the middle, whereby everyone's found a rhythm, and I think I can see the sense in it, but there's no sort of like real dramatic effect when people come out from their pit stops. Like, you know, Tim Reed pitted on lap 20. So did quite a few other people. Craig Corish being one of them. Sam Berry, Glenn Abelard did the last. Well, I think Abelard's going to be the last one to pit in terms of the pit stop cycle, because he pitted on. Well, both he and Hayden Young both pitted on lap 21, so they were able to make their 60% fuel tank limit work that little bit longer. And you can see, well, Tim Cullingwell's not sporting a front bumper on that wonderfully Castrol liveried Mercedes now, and that is costing him aerodynamic downforce on the front end, so it's going to be a little bit understeery. So Hayden Young with that McLaren is right on his case, and that is the battle for P9 in Pro, P10 overall.
Yeah, there's also Jean McLuhan and Peter Duke have just come back together. But we'll keep an eye on this one first, as these guys are continuing to fight on. Obviously for a 10th and 11th in class, that beautiful liveried Mercedes, can't get that rotated. That's going to allow Hayden Young to go through. Job done, thank you very much. He needs to dive in pit lane, which is what he does do. But Jean McLuhan and Peter Duke back together once more.
Ding ding, seconds out, round 3. To be honest with you, but yeah, I think it's... Yeah, I think we've seen this on the previous 2 races as well, at both Barcelona and Silverstone. The middle part of the race is where you have that sort of lull, but it's where the drivers are really getting into their rhythm and prepping themselves for the final set of pit stops. Andy White, in the meantime, has closed in on Tim Reed for P2, so wonder if Andy's actually heard us. Because some of the drivers, folks, do listen to the commentary whilst they're actually racing as well. And Duke and McLuhan going down into what is Corentayo, and then it's going to be Beyond SE1 and 2 coming up, and you can just see that John McLuhan just making the Porsche a little bit wider at the back end, not allowing the Mercedes to get through as they're going to Cucine, and this might not be this might be the opportunity. If Peter Duke can close that gap. Oh, look at how wide he swung that Mercedes. He got a real good run as McLuhan dives into pit lane for what may more than likely be, with 33.5 minutes on the clock to go, possibly. Now, bearing in mind, he pitted, I think, lap 18. His pit stop was only 13.9, was about 14 seconds. So whether now it depends on how long his pit stop is here, and then it also depends on the pit stops of the other drivers, because if some drivers have decided, well, the tyres aren't working that well, I'm going to change them on the first stop and take them to the end of the race. That's one thing. McLuhan now over 20 seconds in pit lane. 22, 23, 24, 24.87. That will be more than enough, I feel, with 33 minutes on the clock for Jean McLuhan to maybe get that across the line with maybe a couple of litres, maybe just fumes in the tank remaining.
Yeah, I think he should be able to get there. Obviously, there has been moments where drivers have been a little bit more of, closer, should we say, to running out of fuel than they need to. As Michael Gray now, that's only his first stop. He went in on lap 14, and that was Corish letting him through there.
Corish saying, I don't want to have anything to do with you.
No.
Goodbye.
Definitely not. But
farewell, my liege.
Yeah. Now it's just going to sit there and follow him through, I think, at the moment.
That's probably not a bad tactic to have either.
No. You know, the difference is you can follow a faster driver and then try and pick up what they're doing and what you're doing. But the problem is their throttle control and their brake control might be 10 times better than yours is. So you could be in the same gear on corners, you know, and I watched the track guide for Nords, and I was in exactly the same gear as the guy on the track was, but he was just doing it a lot better than I could. So sometimes, although you're following, you've got to try and work out where the dragging's happening, where the lifting off's happening, where the natural downforce of the car's taking shape, you know, all of these things. It's not just quite as easy as following somebody.
Yeah, chasing's one thing, passing is something completely different. We both know that anyway. And it's just about how you deal with the situation that's presented in front of you, because it's never easy. And plus also, we're going to get into that stage very, very soon, probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes, where these drivers will have competed through an hour and 10 minutes of practice, 15 minutes of qualifying, possibly 5 minutes of warm-up, and then a 90-minute race, which will have also included other bits and pieces as well. So it's just more the case of how things may go in that respect.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're always going to take time, and you know, for these guys, they're going to go past Sean Clark at the moment, who's in the same team. Well, it's currently named after Sean. So, last thing he really wants to do is be holding these guys up. Got all three cars leading the pack. However, whether or not they're going to fight it out or not, is a different story.
And look what Andy White's doing. He used Sean as a bit of a slipstream magnet there.
Yeah.
Not bad strategy, but didn't pull him enough long enough. And Sean's going to be on the outside of Andy, going into San Donato. Careful, boys, careful.
I am surprised he'd done that. He put Andy offline into the turn, which would have been easier for me if he just lifted. You know, Michael Gray's in pit lane, Sindri Johansson and Joe Loudon. You know, for Sean, he's not really near anybody. He didn't really need to keep him off the line.
Oh, that's interesting. Michael Gray's pit stop was a fast repair. 1.58 seconds. And is he called on? Oh. That brings us down to 18 runners and riders then.
Yeah, he's out. Why he's out? But then again, it is that 60-minute mark. But
he said he was going to do the full 90 this time. Whether something might have come up, who knows?
Maybe. Maybe he just decided that actually, no.
Yeah, I've done 3 races so far. I just need to have a breather. But as we say, you never know. Something might have come up, folks. So that means that Joel Loudon is the last of the classified runners. We've still got this battle between Vardigans and Lopez now for the final position in the top 3 in the AM class. They're battling over 15th position of the 2 Corvettes. Car 118, black flag in pit lane. That was for Michael.
Speeding.
Yeah.
Again. Was that for speeding in pit lane again?
And it wasn't his first offence either. So, dives into pit lane.
Oh, hello.
Oh, now that was not part of the plan, I'm sure.
No, that's new. However, that has just caused me some. What went on there, but oh, there we go. Camera's back.
Right.
Try and get back to live now. There we go.
Oh, bit of a scare there.
Yeah, that was weird because yeah, I don't know what was going on. Never mind. But we are back now, so that's always good. He crashed in pit lane apparently and got a black flag. So yeah, that's what's happened to Michael Gray.
Well, there you go.
Strange.
Wonders never cease, ladies and germs.
Definitely. I agree with you. As Lopez is here still having a nice little go with Mr. Vardigans. These guys continue to fight out. With 26 minutes to go, they've all kind of got back out again. They all got a little bit closer, and now, unfortunately, they're all spreading out once more.
So we're coming up to the last 26.5 minutes of this 3rd recruitment race. Don't forget, if you want to sign up, want to get involved, if you love your GT3 racing, you can go to tansoracing.co.uk, and also there is the Discord information in there, as well as along with Clark St James's website, clarkstjames.com, all lowercase, all one word, no gaps, no underscores or hyphens and all that, none of that shenanigans. But yeah, this is the closest battle we've got out on circuit. Vardigans versus Lopez, P3 and AM, P6, that's P15. The pair are battling over. So the one from Upshift Esports and Mr. Zoomies definitely giving us a little bit of show as they go through Casanova Savelli and down into Arrabbiato Uno e Due, 1 and 2. I love that camera shot as well. It just shows how quick these cars go through it as Joseph goes wide, having gotten past James. Joseph again just finds himself at the mercy of the gravel.
It does, unfortunately. Joseph's just got to try and keep it when he gets up behind James. He's got to try and keep that Corvette a little bit more stable. Take a little bit more. You can take a lot more curb on the inside there, fella. Not going to lie, through that corner. Now let it open. Now run curb again. Here you go. And that coming into the left-hander of Buccini. Onto the brakes they go. Dips down off camber. It's a very difficult corner, this, because you do have to seem like you're waiting an age to get the power on.
Code Brown clean up on aisle 3 for Mr. Zoomies. Self-finish, I'm afraid, on that one.
And that is the problem. So there you go. Unfortunately, that's put play to the end of the battle.
That's a real doggone dirty shame there, I'm afraid. So, probably in the next 2 to 4 laps, we will see drivers coming in for their final raft of pit stops, and it's Harry Hartley-Price started on the outside of the front row in the number 98 Clark St James Motorsport Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. He leads by a comfortable 1.7 seconds ahead of teammate Tim Reed, the Scotsman, Andy White, the third of the Clarkson James Motorsports Mercedes leading the way, is a further 2 seconds back from Reed. Then it is Peter Duke. Craig Corish has made up 4 places. Started on the inside of row number 5 and now is running 5th in the Porsche. He's ahead of the 129 of fresh rubber Sam Berry. Glenn Abelard in the Lamborghini. And next up in 7th, Hayden Young, Scott Kostrich, and Jean McLuhan. Right, McLuhan closing in on Kostrich, so this is going to be a McLaren versus Porsche battle for 9th and 10th overall, and more importantly, 9th and 10th in the Pro class.
Absolutely. These guys are back together on the racetrack as well. It's like every now and then we get 2 people that come back together, and then somebody else, when they drift apart, comes back in again together as well. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's been kind of one of them nights tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was really expecting a lot more drama and razzmatazz. I think at Road America we definitely will have it when they're going through, like, say, the Kink, Canada Corner, Kettle Bottoms at over 140 miles an hour.
Yeah,
that is going to be a fruity racetrack for the final recruitment race, and that will definitely put the cats amongst the TRG Clarkson James recruitment race number 4 in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, McLuhan trying to look one way then the other around the McLaren of Scott Kostrich down into Buccini. Let's see if the Porsche has a good opportunity to get the slipstream on the McLaren. Gap is under 2.5 tenths and is closing rapidly. Now, there is a gap on the inside. Can John McLuhan take advantage of this going into San Donato? He dives to the inside of Scott Kostrich, and, well, that pretty much was not fought that hard, I'm going to be honest with you, by Scott, but he's going to be able to wind up the volume on that McLaren to volume number 11, in the words of Spinal Tap, and try and chase down the Porsche, as they are going to be making their way down the short chute into Materazzi and into San Lorenzo before the run down the hill through Casanova Savelli coming up very shortly as the flat 6 boxer engine revs to the rev limit. Through into the right, down into the left, down the dip as Andy White pits on lap 38 with 21 minutes to go. And, well, you can see that John McLuhan has already started opening up that gap over Scott Kostrich. Kostrich didn't really fight the dive up the inside into San Donato on lap number 38. But, yeah, that's a good run there. So, Andy White finding himself toppling down the order. 15.3 seconds time on his marks in the pit lane, plus the, probably I would say, about another 25, 30 seconds, give or take. So, 45 seconds approximately total pit lane time there for Andy White there, JP?
Yeah, I think it might be right, to be honest with you, mate. In behind all of the people that haven't pitted again. Hayden, a little bit worried about Hayden Young. I think Young might have to do one more. So Andy should effectively be the leader on the racetrack after the pit stop cycle.
So 1 hour, 10 minutes completed, 20 to go. Harry Hartley-Price leads the way by around about 2.1 seconds ahead of Tim Reed. Peter Duke in P3, the highest other best place mark. Porsche, Craig Corish in 4th, ahead of Sam Berry. Glenn Abelard in the Lamborghini rounds out P7. We're riding with Hayden Young in the leading McLaren in the field in 8th, ahead of Andy White, as Harry Hartley-Price dips in on lap 39. So exactly 20 laps after he pitted last time. He pitted on lap number 19. So that's going to give Reed an opportunity to maybe do a full push lap. Peter Duke now pits at the same time as Harry Hartley-Price. So we're seeing the last run of pit stops coming through very shortly here, JP. I mean, I don't think it'll be long for Corish, Berry, Abelard, Young, White, McLuhan, Kostrich, et al. Will be pitting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be sooner or later. These guys are all, they're all going to be. They all know they've got to come into pit lane. Harry Price is on his way out. Hayden Young is there. Where is Andy White? That may have just freed up Harry Hartley Price to take the lead of the race here.
I think you could be right there.
Hartley Price has just taken the lead over Andy White. And I believe he was probably, I think if my memory serves me correct, he was leading going into the pit stop cycles anyway. And has now come out in front. So Andy White effectively second. Whoa. Just waiting for Tim Reed to go in to see what goes, what happens with him and where he comes out, of course.
Yeah, and looking at the pit stop lap times for Messrs. Hartley Price and Messrs. White, 16.88 seconds for Harry Hartley Price on his marks in the pit lane. Lost about 1.3 seconds to Andy White, thereby the relative gap being in between them. Tim Reed now comes in on lap 40. So I would say that the two people that are going to be the last in the pits on this cycle will be Ablard and Young, judging by what we've already seen. They've both pitted on lap 21. Of course, Hayden has already done a fast repair earlier on in the race. Corish is now in. So let's see, do the floodgates open? Berry in pit lane. Ablard carries on. What about Hayden Young? He's going to carry on as well. Joseph Lopez into pit lane.
Andy White
So Glenn
up.
Ablard. Oh, and Hayden Young is now ahead of Tim Reed.
Tim Reed's come out in front of Hartley Price as well.
Oh.
Tim effectively at the moment is the leader.
14.5 seconds on his marks. That was 2.3 quicker than Harry.
Yeah, but the question is has he got enough in there?
I would probably say 20 for about, what, 16 and a half minutes. I would say that he's probably got enough. I'd probably say he's got enough in that tank, but the biggest problem is that tyres, are they up to temp?
He wouldn't have changed tyres.
No, but even though, irrespective of changing tyres, the tyres will cool if he hasn't changed the pit lane.
Yeah, I would have been very, very surprised if a tyre change come out in that 14 seconds. Maybe for Hayden Young on a 26 and Glenn Ablard on a 26, but nobody. Peter Duke might have changed a couple, depending on what side he wanted to change. But other than that, it would have been just in letting it calm down, cool down, and then get it back out as quickly as you can, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think even, I mean, yeah, okay, if you put new tyres on, they're going to be stone cold. But there's going to be a temperature, the tyres are going to lose a little bit of air pressure, a little bit of temperature when they're stationary in the pit lane, as Harry Hartley Price is trying to dive up the inside. Now they're coming out of Buccine. Now this could be the run that Harry Hartley Price needs to get past Clarkson James' teammate. 15 minutes to go, and there is Harry Hartley Price to his outside. The Clark St. James Motorsport Mercedes boys, wheel to wheel, side by side into San Donato here on the start of lap number 42. And Reed is going to be about, he's half a car length ahead going into that corner, but is there going to be a change here? Not quite. Now into Poggio Secco. Harry Hartley Price tucks in behind Tim Reed. And I would imagine that possibly more than likely Glenn Ablard and Hayden Young will be pitting around about this time around. And it will put Harry Hartley Price second. Tim Reed in as the race leader. Andy White rounding out the top three. But that obviously depends on how quick drivers will be on their buttons, as if to uncheck the change tyres situation, because some drivers opted in the first stop to do about 25 to 30 second pit stop, which normally incorporates, apart from fuel being put in, but also the tyres being changed. As we see these, or we hear these wonderfully naturally aspirated 6.2. Oh, right. Car number 3, Sindre Johansson has just reached his incident limit. Gets the trundle of shame down the pit lane, a drive-through penalty, heading its way to the Norwegian.
Naughty boy.
Yeah, but now Abelard is in pit lane. What about Hayden Young? He dives in. Oh, Reed! What happened there? He lost the back end of his zone coming out of the final corner. There was no contact between him and Harry Hartley-Price. So we're going to see it here. The 155, the back end steps out to the right. Hartley-Price to the outside. And Tim Reed drops it all on his own. It puts Harry Hartley-Price first. Andy White second. Tim Reed is going to find himself, I think, he's going to have a very hard-charging Glenn Abelard not too far behind him. But, whoa, what a place to lose it with just minutes remaining until the checkered.
Yeah, unfortunately for him. Never good, not this late on, of course. Car number 1112, black flag, unsafe pit exit. So 112.
Simon Nelthorpe.
Yeah, Simon Nelthorpe, Sam Berry, Glenn Abelard back together, having another little ding dong as well. Few people out. Jared Love back in. Yes.
Yes, he is. Oh.
The Love is back out on track, which is quite a surprise, but he is free. Well, he's a long way back, actually. Being honest, he's on lap 19. Everybody else on lap 42.
Well, let's see what happens over the next 12 minutes and 10 seconds, as it's the battle of the Porkers here for 5th place overall between Craig Corish and Jean McLuhan. They're not too far behind Peter Duke, who's only at 1.9 seconds up the road. So if these two can indirectly start working together, they might get a run on the Mercedes in front. But we have seen Porsche doing Porsche things here tonight here at Mugello, folks. So keep your eyes peeled, don't touch that dial, and have your popcorn on standby.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You know, they've got to be aware of how close you are coming now to the end of the race. Now making sure that you can get this car over the line, make sure you've done all the fuel stops you need to do. Have you done everything that you need to do? Is everything checked? Do you need to fuel save? Do you need to do anything? So, yeah, very interested now when it gets down to the final nitty gritty.
And in the meantime, Andy White has closed the gap to Harry Hartley-Price to just under 9.5 tenths of a second. We're on lap 44 with 11 minutes to go. And the battle between Corish and McLuhan getting ever closer corner by corner at the moment as they go through Lucco into the right here at Poggio Secco. And then it's the short shoot up to Matarazzi and San Lorenzo for Casanova Cervelli, which starts the roller coaster aspect of this particular circuit. 3.259 miles, just a shade over 5.2 kilometers in length. You can see them both trying to get downhill as quickly as humanly possible. Sam Berry and Hayden Young, in the meantime, are closing in on the Lamborghini, the number 27 Huracan of Glenn Abelard, who currently runs P6. The gap is starting to slowly but surely come down between Corish and Duke, because I think Corish, he won't just want to fight Jean McLuhan on his own. He wants someone in front of him that might also think, oh, hang on, I've got this guy in my mirrors, I need to start defending. Then it puts the man front and centre there in the number 113 Porsche between a rock and a hard place, whether to defend his position or attack the man in front.
Don't mirror drive. That's the start. And go forward. That's another philosophy. Can't be mirror driving. If you mirror drive, you're going to end up making a mistake. So that's what they've got to be careful of.
Indeed they have. So, and Young and Berry at it again. They're playing the to me, to you game of musical chairs at the moment.
Oh,
for the
man.
overall. Oh, what have you seen? Oh no, not Joseph.
Too quick. Coming round.
Oh, and he did that earlier at the same corner as well.
Far too fast in that car. Sam Berry and Hayden Young. Oh, yes, sir.
Oh.
Go to Hayden for that
Ping,
one.
he's gone. Ping, he's back. Ping, he's gone. Ping. Oh.
There's a lot of that tonight. I do wonder whether or not there's just having a little bit more server issues than they are anything else at the moment.
Possibly. Does happen from time to time, but Hayden Young coming through out of Arrabbiata 2, now into Scarperia and Pelagio. That McLaren does look a little bit more settled than the Merc, doesn't it? Through the twisty stuff. Car 21. Joseph Lopez has just reached his instant limits.
Yeah,
So
kind of might have had a funny feeling that might have come because he's been around a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that he has. But still, this battle wages on for 8th position. Corish now expanding the gap over Jean McLuhan to 6 and a bit tenths of a second. Our leaders now on to lap number 46. They're about 30% of the way through this lap. As Hayden Young gave him the old Nigel Mansell dummy, did Hayden, and he gets through at San Donato. Textbook dummy by Hayden Young in a Macca.
Yeah, great job from Hayden there. Just utter class, wasn't it? Let's be real. As Sam Berry now teeters in behind. What's Berry going to be able to do in the Merc? Is he going to be able to come back at him? Or is he not going to be able to come back at him? He's done a great job there as well, Sam Berry. So, you know, from Sam's perspective, can he look back and say he's done a bad job, this is the bad race? Probably not, to be fair.
No, and to be given that kind of dummy by a man who had full confidence and self-belief in doing it, well, it was a good attempt by Sam Berry to close off Hayden Young, but Hayden just nailed it absolutely spot on. And look, he's pulled a gap over Berry, and he's going hunting. He's got the Lamborghini Huracan of Glenn Avillard just in front by about 1.1 seconds. 6.5 minutes to go. We are completing lap 46 now, so I would imagine probably talking about another 4 to 5 laps to go.
Yeah, give or take. I think you might be. Yeah, I think you might be right, to be blatantly honest with you. And I think these guys are going to be sort of glad. Some of them are probably going to be quite glad to get out of the car, to be honest with you, because obviously it's very, very hot, shall we say, in that car.
Plenty of perspiration, which is whenever we speak to drivers after a 90-minute solo endurance race, they always go, "Yeah, I'm sweating like a pig in a blanket." You know, which is true. There's a lot of mental and physical input that goes in. You know, the amount of steely-like focus that you have to have in these solo driver 90-minute endurance races, where you've also got to manage your fuel consumption, tyre degradation, pit stop when might be the optimum window for each particular track, and also that can depend on which position you're fighting for at the moment as well. But yeah, Hayden Young he's pulled away 2.2 seconds ahead of Sam Berry. So he's gone to Sam Berry saying, "See you later, TTFN, ta-ta for now."
Yeah, he has pulled away from him now. We've got Jean McLuhan back with Craig Corish. Double Porsche battle, of course. The only 2 Porsches in, well, Simon's got a Porsche in Pro, but a little bit further back and not having a good time in his Porsche at the moment.
Yeah, so this is the battle for the final position for top 5 in Pro, but also top 5 overall. So looks like Jean McLuhan trying to bide his time a little bit, maybe to try and see if he can put the, force Craig Corish into a mistake or an unforced error. But yeah, Craig Corish a bit slow coming out of Buccini. This is going to give the opportunity to McLuhan behind as long as you can close in and catch him.
What's going on with Berry, Kostrick and Collymore? I think that's Sam Berry blinking out again.
Yeah,
that's causing the table to go all a little bit haywire. Eddie Young, however, is now on the back of Glenn Ablard, so we might get a couple of battles here as well. Towards the end of this race, 3.5 minutes to go. Hartley Price out in front, White sitting in second, Reed in third, and Duke in fourth. So we'll see how these guys get there, see how they get on. Just continue to fight it out.
Yeah, McLuhan was trying to put a bit more speed going into Casanova Savelli at that particular point, but it looked like the car might have been a little bit too understeery coming through the that curved sweeping left-hander at Savelli and into Arrabbiata 1. So now under the last 3 minutes, so we're going to have 2 to go once Harry Hartley Price. Well, we might even have, yeah, we'll have 2 to go. So 2 laps remaining. And Harry Hartley Price leads Andy White by 1.3 seconds. Tim Reed at the moment closes out a Clark St. James Motorsport Mercedes trio of cars at the sharp end of the field. Peter Duke in 4th, and then Craig Gorish still battling away with Jean McLuhan, who is right up his rear wing and diffuser at the moment. The gap is about 1.5 tenths. Hayden Young again closing in on Glenn Ablard for position. So battle for 5th and battle for 7th currently right now, JP. But you cannot deny what Clark St. James Motorsport have been able to achieve in this race. Please let us have some new challenges and give them a little bit of stick in the final recruitment race, race 4, in 2 weeks' time. Same place, same time, same channel here on the JP Broadcasting Network. You'll catch all the action for recruitment race number 4 of the Tanso and Clark St. James GT3 Season 8 in association with Clark St. James itself. So it's more the case of how these last couple of laps are going to pan out, because if Sean McLuhan gets that run on Craig Gorish, Glenn Ablard's got an opportunity to put the frighteners in on Hayden Young in the number 5 McLaren. Those are 2 battles that are really going to wage on
final lap
until the end of today. So the final lap is underway as Harry Hartley Price leads by 1.25 seconds. McLuhan trying to put Gorish under pressure. So they're going to go through into Buccini for the penultimate time. Here on lap number 49 of this race. We're underway with lap number 50. Will the 2 Porsches be able to settle it out on track? Keep an eye on the closing rate with Jean McLuhan, 10th and half. 0.11, less than 1/10 of a second. Dives to the outside of the make contact! Oh no, they're both into the barriers! Not what you wanted going on to the final lap of the race. At high speed, drama for Craig Gorish and Jean McLuhan. Well, what can you say about that one? That was a big incident. McLuhan was to the outside and Gorish went left, clattered into the right side, maybe even didn't spot that McLuhan was there, and bang, the 199 goes straight into the wall. That has given Glenn Abelard into 6th position. But we are going to be on the checkered flag this time around, because Harry Hartley Price started from the outside of the front row. Tim Reed started as our pole sitter. An incident involving, no surprise, incident involving cars 113 and 199. Gorish and McLuhan noted. But Buccini for the final time. 3 different races, 3 different winners. Harry Hartley Price, Buccini for the final time takes the victory here in recruitment race number 3, ahead of 2 teammates, Andy White P2, started on the inside of row number 2 in 3rd place. Got a little bit of a wait until Tim Reed comes through, but it's the dash for 5th. Abelard versus Young. And this is going to be down to the final corner. Tim Reed will round out the rostrum for Pro in P3. And can Young get the run on Abelard? It's going to be a run to the line. Lost too much speed out of the final corner. Peter Duke takes 4th. Glenn Abelard takes 5th. Hayden Young takes 6th position. Sam Berry, Mr. Fresh Rubber in the Mercedes, takes P7. He'll finish ahead of Tim Cullimore, who very shortly will be making his way out of the final corner, running with Scott Kostrich, the teammate of Hayden Young, based on their respective liveries on their McLarens. And, well, Jean McLuhan is toppled all the way down the order. It looks like Craig Corish is going to be classified possibly 9th, but Scott Kostrich makes his way through Biondetti 1 and 2. Yeah, Jean McLuhan is tumbling like a stone in a pond. Kostrich waits to apply the power halfway through Buccine, and he is going to take P9 in Pro. James Moore wins an AM. Sean Clark and James Vardigans round out the top 3 in the AM classification. Joseph Lopez, well, if he hadn't had the dramas earlier on, he would have been 4th in the class. Sindre Johansson, the Norwegian in the sole Ford Mustang GT3 on the grid, will come across the line, finish 16th. But drama on the first moments of the last lap of this race, the big incident that people will be talking about going into season 8. The 2 and 8 happening between Craig Corish and Jean McLuhan. Harry Hartley-Price makes it a Clark St. James 1-2-3, followed by Andy White and Tim Reed, who ran at the top 3. Peter Duke in 4th, head of Glenn Abelard, who managed to pick up the spoils after the destruction in front of them. Hayden Young, 6th, head of Sam Berry, Tim Cullimore, Scott Kostrich, Craig Corish. Jean McLuhan on our timing screen is showing as 17th, showing on the feature results as 11th, so maybe a post-race penalty might be coming, not sure. James Moore in 12th, Simon Nelthorpe, Sean Clark and James Vardigans ran at the top 15. Moore, Clark and Vardigans, the top 3 in AM, ahead of Lopez, Johansson, Loudon rounding out 18th position. Then looking a little bit further back, Michael Gray having a bit of an incident in pit lane, black flag, and then out of the race. Jared Love rejoined to finish in 20th, head of Callum Milam, Mark Wesley, Dave Collier, and James Frazier. My goodness me, what a dramatic start to the final lap of that race there, JP.
Yeah, the question's got to be asked. Why were they crashing on a straight? That's one of the things they've got to ask themselves. Should never ever have crashed on a straight. You can see he's coming over. The right hand of Corish is coming over. McLuhan's also not going anywhere. So for me, that's more of a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because one went one way, one didn't really go off his driving line. But they certainly should not have crashed on a straight. That was just bad. Bad from both of them. But looks like we've got a few interviews lined up.
Okay, well, first of all, let's bring in our race winner, our Season 6 champion and Season 7 Pro runner-up. Let's bring in Harry Hartley-Price. Harry, good evening. Well,
hello.
The lane is yours, my friend.
Yes, I'm happy with that. The 90-minute races, at the start of us testing this, I didn't know if I'd like it, but I think they're great. You have to get all your strategy right and just keep it on the road as such.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a very, very different story as well, because we got to like the second, well, we got to the second stint out of 3, and things had gotten into, I think as you put it, James, as like the F1 zone where everyone's like had their feed, they've sat on the sofa, and they come back with 10 laps to spare. I mean, it was where everyone was finding their rhythm, but then we had that big drama. I think involving yourself and Tim, and then Andy just did the old Slim Shady round the outside.
Yeah.
It was the slightest of touches. I don't think it was. Was it a slight touch between the pair of you? Because
I don't think I touched him. But I might, if I did, fair enough. But in front of me, I had to dodge him. But
yeah,
I don't know if I did. Fair enough.
You did.
I don't think you did. I think Tim lost it on his own, and you had nowhere to go, and Andy just went, "Thank you," round the outside.
That was you and Peter Duke, wasn't it?
Duke, it was. Yeah, Peter.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Peter Duke. Yeah. To be fair, I was on the inside, and he kept on coming, but there was nowhere for me to go. So I did back out. I didn't want to gain the position as such. So yeah, apologies for that.
But still, nevertheless, you came through it smelling of roses, winning by a good couple of seconds. You must be happy about that one, mate.
Yeah, I'm happy about that one. I do like Mugello. It's one of my favourite tracks. I think it's quite a Marmite track for people in iRacing. But no, it was good to take the Merc round. It's like a Merc Cup now, this league.
We might as well speak to Sean and call it the Tanso Racing Group and Clark St James Mercedes GT3 Cup or something.
Yeah,
like
definitely. Yeah, I agree with you.
But well done on the win tonight, mate. Obviously, I'm sure we'll see you at Road America in 2 weeks' time for the final recruitment race. But anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just great race from the lads. With a 1, 2, 3, happy with that. And roll on to Road America.
Can I have one request next time, Harry, please?
Yeah.
Can you tell the three of you to fight on the racetrack?
We did. Me and Tim fight.
Did you?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, well, just slow down a little bit and let them get a little bit closer next time.
Yeah, we definitely did. I mean, me and Andy didn't, but me and Tim did. Definitely.
All right, okay. Well, tell Andy to pick him up and stick him in his pocket next time and go for it.
Tell him to get his elbows out and get those Stanley blades sharpened.
Stanley blades, yeah, I'll let him know.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Harry.
Cheers.
So a big thank you there to our winner in the pro class. Let's bring in the man who started on the inside of row 3 but managed to pick up second place, Andy White, his teammate. Andy, good evening.
Good evening, gents.
Well, that was a bit of an interesting race at times for your good self, wasn't it? Especially when we saw Tim going sideways through the final corner, Harry having nowhere to go, and then there you pop, doing the old Slim Shady round the outside to avoid all the madness in front of you. But still, nevertheless, a good result here in the third recruitment race for you.
Yeah, it was a great race, to be fair. Lots of action going on at certain points. I had a bad start. Got caught napping at the start, which I think it ended up with Hyde again, a black flag, so I'm sorry about that, buddy. Then Jared spun on the first lap, and Peter and Harry came together, so we took advantage of that. And yeah, there was just a little bits here and there, but the car was really understeery on this setup, so I didn't want to risk hitting Harry or Tim racing too hard with them, and Harry was just too fast anyway.
But still, a second place is a good result, nevertheless. Looking forward to, are you going to be joining us for the final recruitment race in 2 weeks at Road America? That should be a very interesting circuit there for these cars, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, that'll be a good laugh then. I'll be definitely down for that one.
Brilliant stuff. Well, listen, thanks for having a chat to us post-race. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Shout out to Sean, yourselves, and all the lads at Clarkson Jones Motorsport. Good little battle between us. Shame we could have gone a bit more harder with each other, but don't think the tyres was there.
Brilliant. All right, Andy, thanks for chatting to us, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time at the final recruitment race at Road America.
See you later.
Okay, big thanks there to Andy White. Let's bring in the final of the Clark St James Motorsport Trio. Started, pretty much started at the sharp end of the field. Came out third at the end. Tim Reed, good evening.
How you doing, gents?
Not too bad. It was a bit of a topsy-turvy race in the final third for you, wasn't it, Tim?
It was, yeah. Kind of made a pig's ear at the end there, like.
But still, nevertheless, it's been quite interesting. We've spoken to Harry earlier on, and said I didn't know what I was going to think about these 90-minute races, but he said that he started to enjoy it. What about yourself? What do you think of this new format that we've been trialing here in the recruitment races over the 3 evenings so far?
So at first I wasn't sure about it. After these recruitment races, starting to warm to it, it adds a bit of tactics, like for instance the pit. You can undercut or overcut someone. You can try and fuel save a bit more. Do you change tires? Do you not change tires? It's also got the weather, the track temps rises as well during that race. Where the last season it was just stuck 22 degrees, never changed. So it just adds a bit of variation. So I quite like it. It might not be the best to have to broadcast, but it is enjoyable to race.
Brilliant. Well, still still a really, really good result for the team. 1, 2, 3 lockout and pro. Thanks for having a chat to us anyway, as always, Tim. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, just everyone that takes part, because you can't do it without the drivers. So, yeah, cheers.
Thank you very much, Tim. We'll hopefully see you in a couple of weeks' time for the final recruitment race for Season 8 at Road America.
Cheers.
Okay, one last person to interview. Finishing second in pro. Let's bring in the man that is Mr. Sean Clark. Sean, good evening.
Good evening, guys. Thank you ever so much for
Well,
commentating yet again.
No worries, no worries. And another second place in the AMs for you, my friend. It's nice to see you fighting at the sharp end. I mean, bit of a challenge. I think you also had your dramas at one point. I think ending up in the barriers at one stage through no fault of your own. But still, it seems like this 90-minute endurance race, the drivers are starting to understand it a bit more in terms of strategy and tactics. I mean, what was the decision to go from a flat out 45-minute sprint with a mandatory pit stop to this kind of endurance race sort of style for the recruitment rounds?
To try and do something different for for leagues, really. There are a few about that do endurance style, but not many. And there are lots about that do 45-minute, 60-minute races, or 2 30-minute races. And we wanted something that basically added a bit of strategy and wasn't about just getting the fastest lap all of the time. And I think, well, hopefully, I think it does show that patience, steady driving, whilst it might not be the most exciting all of the time to watch, can actually win through the day. And those that are a bit more gung ho don't come off so well in these longer races.
Yeah, we did have a few fall by the wayside, a little bit of attrition. I think Jared ended up after being in the pits, decided to rejoin a little bit later on. But yeah, I think very different dynamic to what we had for season 7, where it was 45 minutes, 50% fuel limit maximum, 1 mandatory stop. But yeah, I think the GT3s, there is this unseen art, I think, as you were talking about just a second ago. Let's talk about your race. P2 in the AMs. I mean, James Moore, our season 7 champion, is starting to get a real handle on the Corvette, considering he was in the Beamer last time around. We are seeing some interesting and welcome new additions to the AM class brigade, aren't we?
Yeah. So tonight we had a bit of a shuffle round because we tried to do the split at 2000, but we just ended up with like loads of AMs basically. So we changed the split around tonight to 1700. We'll probably go for that for season 8. I'll have a look at the final sign-ups just to get a bit more of a balanced field. I don't think it's far too wrong because, like you say, James was a winner last season, so it fits in with that quite well. And we'll just we'll see how that plays out as we go forward. In terms of my race, I mean, I've made a couple of early slip ups. that put me back, and I could have done without the with the help off the track on lap 11. But just holding it together from there on, keeping my cool, meant I graduated to up to.
Oh, he's muted himself there by
Oh,
accident.
sorry, do apologise.
There you go. That's all right. I've got one final question for you, Sean. I know that we've got the final recruitment race at Road America in 2 weeks'
Yes.
time, but can we give the folks at home a little bit of a teaser of what we can expect for season 8?
Right, yeah. So season 8, we are going to be following the officials through what's left of the current season 3. We will then have a race. It was going to be the Indy 6 hour, but we might swap that out for the week 13 stint, and then we will go over to the officials for season 4 and follow those through from there. Now they have been provisionally released, but it is going to be we're sticking with the 90-minute races. We're sticking with the live stewarding. I don't know what you guys have thought about the live stewarding. I've welcomed it. Don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. It depends on what side of it you are on.
I think live stewarding, it does mean that we've got instant reaction, which in some respects does help. I mean, then thereby, we are able to notify the folks at home, because it will pop up on the display for everyone watching. So I think it adds another new dynamic to the championship. So I'm for the live stewarding. I don't know how you feel about that, JP.
Me, dude, to be honest, I'm trying to stay out of it because I get myself in trouble. I think live stewarding's good, but it can cause problems because, if there's multiple incidents, poor old Connor's going to be sweating his absolute ghoulies off in that box and being able to try and figure out what the right thing is. I think live stewarding works, but as a hint, I'd probably stick another person or at least another couple of people with him just in case it does kick off big style during a race. And then that way, it isn't just poor old Connor getting it on the ear from drivers who message him, asking him, why did you do this? Why did you do that? A very grey area with some leagues. It's a very grey area with drivers. The rule may be we're going to have live stewarding, but you don't contact the stewards because otherwise, poor old Connor's going to be inundated with DMs.
I absolutely agree with you there, JP. Nobody should be contacting the stewards. It should be the race admin, if anything. We do have an appeal process. There is an appeal form, and the reason I like live stewarding is because you can give someone a 10-second penalty. They can appeal. It can be overruled. 10 seconds can be taken off, and the position can be given back if it's deemed to be wrong. But it also actually, hopefully, it calms people down. I mean, we're able to warn people about blue flags, things like that, which you can't do normally. So there's always going to be the downside, but I agree with you. Nobody should be in touch with the stewards at all.
And I would try and see if I can get a second one in there.
Yeah. That would be a good idea if we can get one.
Yeah,
it's a volunteer role, so I mean.
Exactly. If anybody out there wants to have a go at stewarding, reach out to Sean. I'm sure he'll be happy to accept you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And go from there.
Out.
And there we go.
Thank you.
No drama.
Well, Sean, thanks a lot for your time as always, buddy. Anyone you want to give a shout out to tonight before we let you go?
Just everyone taking part, really. It's just fantastic. We have 43 signed up for the summer. I know we've only had sort of 20, 25 taking part, but it's holidays and everything like that. So it's kept it bubbling. We've got season 8 starting 1st of September. So if you fancy some of that, it's free. It's going to be broadcast again by you guys. So please just get along to Tanso and sign up.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot for your time, Sean. We'll no doubt see you for Road America for the final recruitment race ahead of season 8, buddy.
Will do. Cheers. All the best. Thank you.
Well, nice to get a little bit of a spoiler for you folks out there, courtesy of Mr. Sean Clark. But JP, that's 3 recruitment races in the bag. 2 weeks' time, we go to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We go to Road America. I'm so looking forward to that one because that is going to be a chaotic race at best. There's going to be cars here, there, and everywhere. Barriers close to all, minimal runoff area, and it's going to sort out the wheat from the chaff, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely will. Road America's a different kettle of fish to most of these circuits as well. Don't forget, you got to start finish straight out of turn 14. That's longer than my high street. And you've got a very difficult turn 5 on the way down from Moraine. So lots of things could go wrong in Road America from 5, 6, 7, 8 and through the carousel at 9. Then, of course, the fast active kink in Canada Corner. So hold on to your hats for that one. It's going to be an epic one.
Well, you've been in the company of myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and James Parfitt on what has been an interesting race 3 for recruitment for Tanso Racing Group and Clark St. James GT3 Championship. Season number 8, which Sean Clark has just confirmed, will start on the 1st of September. A big thank you to everyone that's taken part. A big thank you to you all that have been watching live on stream. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. There's plenty of racing coming up, such as Imola for FDL Player 1 SimGear SFL Championship round number 5. We've got the BSC Summer Season 11 at Iowa Speedway. The Parabolic Company's J2 ICS GT3 Sprint Championship round from Charlotte Roval. Then we've got League 0 Super Formula, IGP Fun. The list goes on and on. And until next time, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, well, you better go flat out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Good night for now.
Jungle.